Okay, so there used to be this girl I knew, and I say used to because she's no longer the same person. She was walking into her new school with her hands shaking, heart pounding, and her life was in front of her on a golden pedestal with a shiny ladder on it. Everyone would ask her why she would enter a new school this late. She has friends and a steady life in her old one anyways. Why throw all of it away? Well, her old school changed a lot. She began noticing that she had to work twice as hard to learn, and that was something she was so passionate about. They asked her why she did it, and she responded, because I can. This response often led other people confused, anxious to know what she did, because you can. It sounds so simple to many, but in reality, most people might not believe you when you say you do something just because. People assume that you must have a reason when it is something so drastic, and they assume that it's negative. But this really reminds me of the time that George Mallory, a great climber who risked his life to climb Mount Everest, was asked by a reporter why he wanted to climb it. He responded, because it is there, because that opportunity was right in front of George Mallory. But humans are like chameleons. They tend to blend into any environment they enter because of social pressure or subconscious thinking. But people can change their actual selves due to several factors, things such as contact with other societies, changes in technology, or social conflict. These characters shape our identities and influence our choices, just like me and you. But it went from an environment with open and like-minded people to a space filled with kids who wouldn't interact with each other, who was scared of talking to new people. But it's their choice at the end of the day. But it really made her think how far a person can go to fit in. Every time she tried to get along with somebody, it was different, and it changed her perspective. Now, maybe you might not know who I'm talking about, but I think it's pretty obvious that I am the person in this talk. I was only 13 years old when I decided to change my life and bring it with me to a new school. I remember how it used to be. I had been in that school since I was little, but that did not mean to me that it was perfect. So what I did is, I remember I sent a picture of the school's uniform to my new friends. They reacted surprised. They didn't know why I had changed, but the truth is, it wasn't fully my choice. It was mostly environmental factors. But I was really cocky that this would be easy, until the part where I actually had to enter my new school, and I was really nervous. I knew how mean people were, but I was so comfortable being in my own social stance that I forgot I didn't know anybody, and I might have to change myself. But the truth is, I never really had to change me. Maybe this would have all been different or easier on me, but if I hadn't learned from it, I would still be trapped in judgment. There's this thing I call the snakes and ladders theory. You start at the bottom of the board, like everybody else. Sometimes you score high, like the time I introduced myself and received a warm welcome, but sometimes I scored low. Progress was not going that well, and when I tried to climb that ladder, I would slide right back down. I knew others were trying to constantly put me down, but I found myself taking it one step at a time. It worked so well that I reached to a spot where I felt neutral, but I still had a strange sense of disconnection between many parts of myself, but I just felt like I needed to belong. Then I realized that I had been focusing on other people and not myself. It was unsettling and liberating and also confusing because I had no idea what to do next. I realized that I had been focusing on other people and not myself. As someone who in reality was on the outside looking in, I learned how to change, and I learned that change is the way to break down barriers. I was trapped by the unspoken rules that lived within my world, afraid to challenge the status quo. But today, I'm calling others to join me in changing that. We're told to stay in our place. We're told to appreciate where we are, even if it feels wrong. But it is so liberating to step out of those boundaries and forge our own space. Because who cares what you look like? Who cares what you did? Today's the day we redefine these rules and make them better. Let's take a step and break free from this judgmental government that lives between us. Here's what I want you to remember. Social change is never the enemy. It's resistance who's the real enemy. Stop thinking about it as losing control or losing status, because in the end, we all struggle with the same problems. People should not view you differently because you sit with popular kids, alone, or with only one friend. Nobody has any idea what you are going through. Steve Jobs said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish. Stop thinking about fitting into a system which was not made for you." If someone said something about you, take it with a grain of salt. Only you know what is true about you and how you let it affect you. Sticking to old behaviors and patterns are for the weak of heart and for those who cannot let go of the past. Moving on and making real social change is for the strongest. Change makes lawyers, doctors, single mothers, single fathers, students, and survivors. Because social change is the entire reason why I'm here speaking to all of you today. I stand before you today with a promise that it will be okay and that you are worth being here. I never knew how far I had come until I was up here a minute ago or so. But I hope to come back to this school next year and see friendships made, new people. Not only that, but also smarter people. But I don't mean a kid who's smart in math. I mean a kid who knows what is good for him or her and has no problem with doing it. Because if you do not believe in changing your path, you might end up where you don't want to be. So today I want to ask you who you want to be today. Thank you.
Thank you.